the biggest mistake people make when they're figuring out what to pay employees is they ask other companies that are similar to them what they're paying their employees.
Mm.
So I don't have access to their balance sheet. I don't have access to their profit and loss statement. I don't know what their income or expenses are. So how can I properly identify if what they're paying other people is good? I don't believe you pay people based on the market. You pay people based on your profit and loss, your balance sheet, and what works for you. Because if you don't do that, you could get in trouble with your own finances of your business, and that would be unwise on many levels. That would really make it hard for you to keep the talent. So I think you have to start with that. I mean, I'm in all kinds of different Facebook groups and other industry events where I'm speaking at these things. And that's the number one question that people ask before they hire. It's like, hey, what are you guys paying people? And they compare to that. And it's fine to compare, but like, don't make your final decision on what you're going to be paying your team based on somebody else's finances. Really, what you have to understand is through the hiring process, what the people you're hiring need. You know, if they have really good habits with their own personal finances and they don't have this gigantic commute and or they have another income in the household or countless other things that could make a difference into their own income, that's going to determine what you may need to pay them.
Right. Yeah. So you're kind of really looking for this balance between meeting the needs of the firm, right? So you can sustain yourself, because if you're paying salaries that aren't going to give you that right ratio of what the employee value creation is versus what they're being paid for, then the business isn't going to be sustainable. But also balancing that with, well, what do the employees need to be able to meet their needs, to be able to have a good livelihood, take care of their families, and invest for retirement, right?
Yeah. And it goes beyond that too. So what if I did market research and I decided that I did want to pay 15% more than everybody else? So people are coming to me for what reason? Money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens when another opportunity comes along for that person that gets paid more? Where do they go?
Exactly. So
So how
what's
am I
their motivation? Yeah.
Yeah. So how am I supposed to retain that? If I want people to stick around, that means that I have to continually pay them the highest rate if that's how I attracted them.
Right.
So that's not necessarily how I want to attract people.
It's like,
If
it sounds a lot like the, in the discount market space, right? Where people are selling products and services and they're like, well, we're the cheapest. Well, that's often very, very bad, because, it just becomes a race to the bottom, right? You're kind of saying the opposite. It could be a race to the top, so to speak, where, yeah, I mean, okay, you're getting people in the door, but how long are they staying? Because the first recruiter that knocks on the door and says, I'll give you 5% more, or even 3% more, they're probably gone, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we all talk about we want employees and we want people who are self-directed, who have an ownership mentality, right? Well, let me ask you this. Is a self-directed ownership mentality person motivated most by money?
Absolutely not.
Probably not.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So why would I create a job announcement, a job description, and everything that focuses on money, 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 money? I'm going to do much more than that. I'm going to try to attract people based on the purpose that we have, the freedom that they get, the affirmation and mastery of a craft that I'm going to help provide for them, way more than money. As a result, I might find people who are willing to take a hit to their income. They'll be willing to take a lower income to come work for me because they've already done that before. They're maybe a little bit more mature, or they're a little different place in their life emotionally or even financially, that other things are more important to them.
Yeah, for sure. Now I'm gonna go. Let's take this a step further. Go down into the details a little bit here. So, how do you, in the interview process, like how are you communicating this with prospective employees? Where you're saying, hey, you're trying to identify, well, what is most important to them, and if you can meet those needs without having to offer even necessarily equal to the market value. Like, let's say, you go to, what is it? Let's just say ZipRecruiter is probably the easiest place to get data, right? And you say, okay, what's the average salary for this position in this market? And you're saying, like, actually, we don't even pay that. We're paying a little bit lower than that. Here's what we do offer. So how are you communicating that in a way where employees are saying, well, that's great, because what I need is this? Or are you uncovering their needs first? How's that working?
Well, the way that I start the application process, or even just the fact that we have a job opening and I want to try to get people in, is I do it with a one-page website. I call it a job announcement. And on this job announcement, I talk about a lot of things, but I don't talk about money. I talk about the impact that we're making as a company on real people. I have videos and testimonials from the clients and things, so they get to see that, wow, man, I get to do work that matters. I have videos from other employees, so they get to see who they're working with. I talk about the different programs and things that we make available as part of our company to help them grow and get better at what they do. So they're going to get that affirmation and they're going to get that um, mastery of a craft, as I mentioned before. But I also mentioned all the different pieces of freedom that they get. I believe that freedom is a currency, and I'm going to talk about how they can have autonomy over different portions of their life and how the job that they're getting is going to enhance their life rather than drag it down. The only time I mention money is at the very bottom of the job announcement. There's a job description, and if they click on that, it talks about the money that's associated with the job. That's where we start. But
Mm,
throughout the rest of the job interview process, I do ask about money, but it has to do with, hey, did you see how much this job pays? So I want to see if they were able to click that link and find the money in that. And if so, how does it compare to your personal finances? Is this going to work for you? And that's all I
mm.
ask. If it doesn't work, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with them and there's nothing wrong with me. It just means it's not a match. Their personal finances don't match with my profit and loss on my business. And that's okay.
Right. I love it. So you're starting off really getting the person to think about, is this the right fit for me? Is this a place where I can see myself working for the right reasons? And then money comes up after. Love it.
Correct.
So now
And
one
if
of the
I'm
things,
candid with you, like there's a long tail approach to this. So that's how it like started with me, is of attracting people that way.
Mhm,
And then over a period of years, my employees glow about their employment at my company. The things that I
right.
do on social media, talking about what we do and how we do it with our team. We're known in our community as an awesome place to work. As a result, I send out those job announcements anytime I have an opening, but I have a laundry list of people who want to come work for me weekly, getting a Facebook message, an Instagram message, an email, a phone call, a text message, people asking if I have any openings or putting their name in the hat.
Now there's a gem right there for everyone listening, right? Is I think there's so many areas of business where we think short term, right? Like we think quarterly profit instead of how do we build a system that's really providing value for customers over the long term? How are we serving the employees that deliver that value to the customer, right? And I love this concept, how you're applying this to recruiting, right? We think long term instead of just thinking, oh, I'm going to pay 15% more and I'm going to blast this job everywhere. No, if you really create value for your employees, they're going to find you your next best employees, right? And people are going to talk about it, and it's very easy to attract people when you're consistently taking care of your employees in this way, right?
Oh yeah. This isn't a gimmick or a trick or a game. I
Right.
do genuinely care about my people. I have a lot of pride in them and I want to make their lives awesome. One of my favorite things, like when I was going through my kind of career and things that I had to do and things that I let go. And, just as part of my role at the company, one of the hardest things for me to let go was actually creating the paychecks and doing that portion of my job because it was my favorite. I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved seeing when people were winning well and they were earning a really great commission. And I just liked paying my team.
Yeah.
And then getting away from that and having to hire people and scale and all that, that was kind of tough for me. And that just speaks to the genuine love and care that me and my wife and my kids have for everyone that's on our team. And if you really do care for people, are you going to get burned every once in a while? Are people going to take advantage of you? Sure. But those are outliers. Those don't happen very often. But what it does create is a really neat company culture that people want to be a part of.